What if the most dangerous ticking time bombs are not hidden in a laboratory, but are growing beautifully right in your own backyard? Most people do not know this, but while we spend thousands of dollars on landscaping, we are actively nurturing botanical monsters. We think we are planting a harmless garden, but we are actually inviting invaders that will strangle our native plants and crush our concrete foundation. Modern science has finally caught up to these silent killers. Botanical studies show these plants operate on a molecular level, engaging in chemical warfare and relentless underground invasions. Today, I will show you 20 destructive plants you must avoid at all costs. You need to stay until the very end, because number 19 is a financial nightmare that can actually prevent you from getting a bank mortgage. And number 20 is an immortal villain that violently clones itself the moment you try to cut it down. Hit that subscribe button right now as we uncover the hidden truths of nature every single week to protect your home and your peace of mind. Number 1. Mint. The sweet-smelling escape artist. You have likely seen it in every beginner gardening book or sitting innocently on a kitchen windowsill. Historically cherished for its soothing properties and used for centuries to brew comforting teas and settle stomachs. It seems like the perfect companion. But here is what most people miss. When you plant mint directly in the ground, you are not just planting an herb, you are unleashing a subterranean monster. Modern botanical science has caught up to this deception in a spectacular way. Studies on its root systems reveal that mint operates through aggressive underground rhizomes that expand at a terrifying cellular rate. On a molecular level, it actively seeks out the nutrients your other plants need, starving them through rapid resource depletion. It spreads horizontally beneath the soil, popping up feet away from its original location, completely ignoring boundaries. The traditional use is wonderful for your kitchen, but in the garden, you must contain it in a pot, or it will conquer your entire landscape. Think of mint not as a friendly herb, but as a fragrant parasite. It never got forgotten for its flavor, but we have forgotten that it is a relentless invader. Number 2. English ivy. The silent strangler. We associate this plant with historic prestige, romantic European architecture, and prestigious university buildings. It looks like a beautiful, evergreen tapestry, woven directly into the walls of an ancient estate. But here is what most people miss. That classic charm is actually a structural and ecological death sentence. Modern science has meticulously analyzed how English ivy climbs, and the results are alarming. The plant develops microscopic aerial rootlets that secrete a specialized glycoprotein. This biological glue binds permanently to the cellular structure of brick, mortar, and wood. As it clings, it traps moisture against your house, creating the perfect environment for profound structural rot and oxidative stress on your building materials. In the wild, it is even worse. It climbs massive trees, completely enveloping their trunks and blocking sunlight, essentially starving ancient giants of photosynthesis while weighing down their branches until they snap under the sheer physical mass. If you try to rip it off your walls, it takes the mortar right with it. English ivy was always admired for its classic beauty, but we forgot that it operates as a slow-moving structural nightmare. Number 3. Butterfly bush. The ecological deceiver. Walk into any local nursery, and you will see this plant marketed as the ultimate savior for pollinators. It boasts spectacular, vibrant cones of purple and pink flowers that practically vibrate with visiting butterflies. People plant it feeling like environmental heroes. But here is what most people miss. This plant is a biological Trojan horse. Modern ecological studies have exposed the butterfly bush as an invasive catastrophe. While it does provide nectar for adult butterflies, its leaves contain specific biochemical compounds that are toxic or entirely useless to native caterpillars. It offers sugar water for the adults, but absolutely no host material for the next generation to survive. It is an ecological dead end. Furthermore, a single mature bush can produce up to 100,000 microscopic seeds in a single season, catching the wind and invading nearby riverbanks and native forests, aggressively choking out the indigenous plants that insects actually need to breed. You might think you are creating a sanctuary, but you are planting an ecological desert. The butterfly bush is not a conservation tool. It is an incredibly deceptive invader. Number 4. Morning glory. The childhood chokehold. Almost everyone has a nostalgic memory of these delicate, trumpet-shaped flowers greeting the morning sun. They are often sold in colorful little seed packets to children because they sprout so quickly and easily. But here is what most people miss. Behind those innocent, beautiful blooms lies a predatory climbing mechanism that will suffocate your entire garden. Botanical science shows that morning glories utilize a highly aggressive phototropic twining behavior. On a molecular level, the vines sense physical contact and immediately coil themselves around any structure, whether that is a trellis, a fence, or your prized tomato plant. As they spiral upward, they tighten, literally strangling the vascular systems of the plants they use for support. Even worse is their survival strategy. A single plant drops thousands of seeds wrapped in an incredibly thick, hard seed coat that allows them to remain dormant in your soil for decades. You can pull them up year after year, but the moment you turn your back, a new army sprouts. It is a beautiful flower, but we have forgotten that it behaves exactly like a botanical python. Number 5. Creeping Charlie, the lawn assassin. Brought over centuries ago by early settlers who valued it as a medicinal herb and a reliable ground cover, this low-growing plant with its scalloped leaves and tiny purple flowers looks completely harmless. It seems like a quaint addition to a shady yard. But here is what most people miss. Creeping Charlie does not just grow alongside your grass, it actively murders it. Modern scientific analysis has revealed that this plant engages in direct chemical warfare. It possesses potent allelopathic properties, meaning it secretes complex biochemicals directly into the soil. These compounds inhibit the cellular germination and root development of surrounding plants, essentially poisoning the ground for anything that is not Creeping Charlie. On top of this toxic assault, its stems root at every single node that touches the dirt. If you try to mow it, the blades just chop it into dozens of viable fragments, spreading the invasion further. It laughs at your lawnmower and shrugs off most standard treatments. You are not just fighting a common weed, you are fighting a highly evolved, chemically armed adversary that wants your lawn dead. Number 6. Bermuda grass, the immortal carpet. In many southern regions, this is the standard choice for a durable, drought-resistant lawn. It is praised for its ability to withstand heavy foot traffic and scorching summer heat. It seems like the ultimate resilient turf. But here is what most people miss. That extreme resilience makes it an absolute nightmare if it ever reaches your garden beds. Modern agricultural science explains its terrifying survival mechanism. Bermuda grass spreads through a dual network of above-ground stolons and deep underground rhizomes. These rhizomes can dive several feet into the soil, hoarding carbohydrates and waiting. If a severe drought hits, the plant simply shuts down at a cellular level, going completely dormant. But the moment water returns, it aggressively resurrects. It will pierce straight through heavy-duty landscape fabric, creep under solid concrete borders, and entangle itself so deeply into the root balls of your shrubs that you cannot remove it without killing your desired plants. Bermuda grass never got forgotten as a tough turf, but we forgot that once planted, it is a permanent, irreversible occupation of your land. Number 7. Bishop's weed, the shadow consumer. Also known as snow on the mountain, this variegated plant is frequently sold as the perfect, zero-maintenance solution for those dark, difficult corners of your yard where nothing else will grow. It promises to brighten up the shade with its white and green leaves. But here is what most people miss. It thrives in the shade because it is a ruthless conqueror that requires no help to dominate. Botanical field trials demonstrate that Bishop's weed utilizes a massive, interconnected underground root system that rapidly forms an impenetrable monoculture. It alters the soil microbiome, hoarding every ounce of moisture and nutrient available. It does not just fill the empty spaces, it actively hunts down your established hostas, ferns, and delicate shade perennials, smothering them under a dense, suffocating canopy of foliage. If you try to dig it out, snapping even a millimeter of its brittle white roots guarantees a fresh plant will emerge next spring. It solves your shade problem by systematically eliminating every other living thing in the shadows. It is not a ground cover, it is a botanical blackout. Number 8. Yellow Archangel, the silver-lined suffocator. You will often find this striking plant spilling beautifully out of hanging baskets at the garden center. Its silver illuminated leaves and delicate yellow blooms make it incredibly attractive for ornamental landscaping. But here is what most people miss. The moment you take it out of that hanging basket and put it into the earth, you have made a catastrophic mistake. Modern ecological science categorizes this plant as a severe threat to forest floors. It exhibits explosive stem elongation, creeping across the ground at an astonishing pace. Wherever a leaf node touches the soil, it anchors deeply, creating a dense, interwoven mat that completely blocks sunlight from reaching the soil surface. This prevents native seeds from germinating and starves the beneficial insects that rely on diverse plant life. It easily escapes residential gardens, invading nearby woodlands and creating massive dead zones where only the yellow archangel survives. It defies conventional herbicides and resists manual pulling. A decorative accent that looks like a silver lining quickly becomes a suffocating blanket that destroys local biodiversity. Number 9. Chameleon plant. The foul-smelling hydra. With its gorgeous heart-shaped leaves that shift brilliantly between green, red, yellow, and cream, this plant looks like a living watercolor painting. It is incredibly tempting to add to a damp, shady spot in your garden. But here is what most people miss. Behind those beautiful colors lies one of the most aggressive and foul defense mechanisms in the plant kingdom. Botanical studies have shown that the chameleon plant possesses fleshy, brittle rhizomes that travel incredibly deep underground. When you realize it is taking over and you try to dig it out, your shovel slices those roots into hundreds of tiny fragments. On a cellular level, each microscopic piece contains enough stored energy to regenerate into an entirely new plant. And when you break those leaves or roots, they release a pungent, nauseating chemical odor that smells exactly like rotting fish or rancid meat. It is a sensory and physical nightmare. Digging it up is not eradication. It is simply a multiplication event. It is a beautiful illusion hiding a foul-smelling, unkillable hydra. Number 10. Jerusalem artichoke. The eternal curse. This plant is often praised by permaculture enthusiasts and survivalists. It grows incredibly tall, produces beautiful, bright yellow sunflowers, and develops edible, potato-like tubers underground that are highly nutritious. It sounds like the ultimate sustainable food source. But here is what most people miss. Planting Jerusalem artichokes is essentially signing a permanent, unbreakable contract with a plant that will never leave your property. Scientific agricultural analysis reveals that these tubers are incredibly efficient energy storage units. When harvest time comes, you can dig and sift through the soil all day, but if you leave behind a sliver of a tuber the size of a fingernail, it will survive the freezing winter and violently sprout again in the spring. Within a few seasons, a small patch will march across your yard, shading out your entire vegetable garden with 10-foot-tall stalks. You can harvest them, you can eat them, but you can never truly defeat them. It is a miraculous food source, but we forgot that it permanently claims the earth it touches. If you are starting to see the pattern here, hit that like button and subscribe to join a community that understands true gardening is about protecting our environment as much as planting it. We connect the ancient wisdom of nature with modern scientific truths to help you cultivate genuine healing and peace of mind. Number 11. Trumpet vine. The beautiful demolitionist. At first glance, this plant looks like a vibrant masterpiece. It has been revered in early horticultural texts for its magnificent, trumpet-shaped, fiery red and orange blooms that draw in hummingbirds from miles away. But here is what most people miss. Beneath that breathtaking floral display lies an aggressive architectural predator. At a microscopic molecular level, the aerial roots of the trumpet vine secrete a biological cement. Modern science shows that these microscopic structures can infiltrate the tiniest, almost invisible pores of brick, solid stone, and treated wood. Once they anchor themselves deep within the crevices of your home, they begin to expand with terrifying mechanical force. This vine will rip the heavy metal gutters right off your roof. It will shatter your wooden siding into splinters and compromise the very structural integrity of your walls. Traditional gardeners loved it for its aesthetic appeal, but it is a legitimate nightmare for homeowners. Think of it as a wrecking ball disguised as a delicate floral arrangement. It never got forgotten for its beauty, but we did forget why you should never let it touch anything you want to keep standing. Number 12. Wisteria, the romantic crusher. This plant has been immortalized in ancient Eastern texts and poetry as the ultimate symbol of longevity, grace, and enduring love. Its cascading purple flowers look like something straight out of a sacred garden. But here is what most people miss. This is not just a delicate ornamental vine. It is a slow-motion boa constrictor. Modern botanical science reveals that as the thick, woody vines of wisteria twist and spiral upward, they generate immense mechanical torque. It will wrap around your expensive wooden pergola, your heavy iron trellises, or your ancient, majestic oak trees, and literally crush the life out of them. The sheer weight of a mature wisteria vine can collapse the roof of a sturdy porch during a heavy rainstorm. We see the majestic purple cascades and completely forget the suffocating, lethal grip operating just beneath the surface. Think of it as a giant python wearing a beautiful dress. It is stunning to look at, but it will slowly strangle the foundation of your garden. Number 13. Bamboo, the unstoppable spear. This plant is deeply sacred in countless Asian cultures, representing absolute resilience, purity, and profound healing. Ancient medical texts praise bamboo extracts for treating severe respiratory issues and clearing deep-seated infections. But here is what most people miss. When you plant running bamboo in a residential area, you are unleashing a subterranean monster. Running bamboo operates on a massive underground network of rhizomes that act exactly like armor-piercing rounds. Modern science has caught up, showing that the cellular structure at the tip of a growing bamboo shoot can exert massive hydraulic pressure. It will easily puncture right through heavy-duty commercial weed barriers. It will split your solid asphalt driveway in half. It has even been documented emerging directly through the thick concrete floor of a living room or garage. It was a legendary building material for ancient empires, but we forgot that it builds its own empire by destroying yours. Think of it as an underground army that never sleeps, relentlessly marching across your property lines. Number 14. Russian olive, the soil alchemist. Introduced decades ago as a miraculous, hardy tree for creating windbreaks and stabilizing eroding soil in harsh environments. But here is what most people miss. This tree does not just grow in the soil. It fundamentally alters the chemical composition of the earth itself. Scientific trials and ecological studies show that its root system fixes nitrogen at such an aggressive, unnatural rate that it changes the local ecosystem at a molecular level. It creates an environment that is highly toxic for native plants to survive in. It literally terraforms your land to serve only its own offspring. Furthermore, it produces thousands of seeds that birds scatter everywhere, creating impenetrable, thorny thickets that choke out entire pastures. It was praised for its rugged hardiness, but we forgot that it survives by starving out the entire neighborhood. Think of it as a chemical warfare specialist that steals the very ground beneath your feet. Number 15. Purple loosestrife, the wetland assassin. This plant was used for centuries in traditional herbal medicine. Ancient healers and herbalists relied heavily on its incredibly high tannin content, utilizing it as a powerful astringent and a potent antimicrobial wash for treating severe wounds and stopping deep bleeding. But here is what most people miss. When planted in a modern landscape, a single mature purple loosestrife plant can produce over 2 million microscopic seeds in a single growing season. Modern ecological science confirms that this plant single-handedly chokes out entire wetland ecosystems. It suffocates native flora, alters water flows, and starves local wildlife by replacing the diverse food web with a monolithic, impenetrable purple wall. We brought it into our gardens for its striking, towering spikes of beautiful flowers and its genuine healing properties, but we unwittingly unleashed an ecological disaster. Think of it as a beautiful plague. This is not just folklore. It is genuine medicine, but it is also a ruthless, unstoppable conqueror. Number 16. Tree of Heaven, the toxic conqueror. Revered deeply in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries. The potent bark and deep roots were harvested and prescribed to treat rapid heart rate, severe inflammation, and devastating internal infections. But here is what most people miss. This tree is quite literally a biological weapon. Modern botanical science has isolated a specific chemical compound in its roots called allanthone. Clinical studies show that this chemical acts as a highly potent pre-emergent herbicide. The tree actively pumps this invisible toxin deep into the surrounding soil, creating a massive kill zone around its trunk where absolutely no other plant seed can germinate or survive. Furthermore, its aggressive root system can severely compromise the structural foundation of your home and shatter your underground sewer pipes. It was originally brought over as an exotic, fast-growing marvel, but we forgot that it actively wages chemical warfare against the earth. Think of it as a silent assassin that poisons the ground to ensure it stands alone. Number 17. Horsetail, the prehistoric survivor. This is not just a common garden weed. It is a literal living fossil that survived the catastrophic extinction of the dinosaurs. Ancient physicians and tribal healers prescribed horsetail to stop massive hemorrhaging and to dramatically accelerate the healing of broken bones. Modern science has caught up spectacularly, revealing that this plant contains massive, unprecedented amounts of natural silica. Clinical research highlights its incredible efficacy for cellular regeneration, bone density support, and fighting severe oxidative stress. But here is what most people miss. That exact same dense silica structure makes the living plant practically indestructible in your yard. Its roots can dive plunging down over 7 feet deep into the earth, laughing at your desperate attempts to dig it up. It is completely immune to almost every single modern chemical herbicide available on the market. You cannot poison it, you cannot burn it out, and you cannot dig it deep enough to eradicate it. This was a direct medical prescription from antiquity, but in a modern garden, it is an absolute nightmare. Think of it as a heavily armored military tank that has been successfully holding its ground for millions of years. Number 18. Kudzu, the green monster. Revered in ancient Eastern medical texts for thousands of years. The massive, starchy root of the kudzu plant has been prescribed to treat severe fevers, dysentery, and complex cardiovascular diseases. Clinical trials today are actively exploring its unique isoflavone compounds for reducing alcohol cravings, regulating blood sugar, and fighting systemic inflammation at a molecular level. But here is what most people miss. It is famously known as the vine that ate the American South. Under the right humid conditions, kudzu can grow a terrifying 12 inches in a single day. It does not just grow. It swallows. It will swallow entire mature forests, smothering ancient towering trees until they snap under its immense weight. It will pull down high-voltage power lines, and it will engulf abandoned cars, barns, and entire houses in a solid, impenetrable blanket of green. We imported it as a miraculous, drought-resistant forage crop and a profound ancient medicine, but we completely forgot that it possesses an insatiable, monstrous appetite. Think of it as a slow-moving botanical tsunami that drowns everything in its path. Number 19. Japanese knotweed, the mortgage killer. This is the exact moment where botanical terror becomes catastrophic financial ruin. In traditional Eastern medicine, the deep roots of Japanese knotweed were meticulously harvested as a highly potent blood purifier and a supreme protector of the heart. Modern science has completely validated this ancient wisdom. Peer-reviewed research confirms that this root is one of the richest, most concentrated natural sources of trans-resveratrol on the entire planet. Clinical trials show profound, miraculous effects against severe oxidative stress, massive inflammation, and it is even used in groundbreaking protocols for treating chronic Lyme disease. But here is what most people miss. Japanese knotweed will literally destroy your financial net worth. Its incredibly aggressive rhizome root system can easily break through solid concrete foundations. It will shatter heavy stone retaining walls, and it will completely compromise the structural integrity of your home. In many parts of the world right now, if a surveyor finds even a small patch of this plant on your property, major banks will flat out refuse to give you a mortgage or approve a home loan. It is virtually impossible to kill. If you try to dig it up and accidentally leave behind a tiny fragment of root the size of a grain of rice, it will regenerate into an entirely new massive plant. This is not a symbolic threat. This is a legitimate, terrifying threat to your livelihood. We forgot that the most powerful medicines on Earth can also be the most destructive forces in nature. Think of it as a financial wrecking ball wrapped in a highly medicinal leaf. Number 20. Black Locust. The immortal hydra. As it stands tall with its stunning, fragrant, and drooping white blossoms, which bees use to produce some of the most fantastic honey in the world, it gives off an impression of being the most magnificent thing in the world. The extremely solid and rot-resistant wood of this tree was highly coveted throughout history and was utilized in the construction of the very foundations of early American colonies, as well as enormous ships. However, this is what the majority of people fail to notice. There are very toxic substances, known as toxalbumins, that are packed within the thick bark, the leaves, and the seeds of the plant. These toxalbumins have the potential to murder animals, horses, and pets. Nevertheless, the real nightmare is hidden beneath the ground. According to the findings of contemporary scientific research, its fundamental structure is based on a vast and highly interconnected cloning network. In the event that you make the error of cutting down a black locust tree, the root system will immediately go into emergency mode. Your yard will be covered in hundreds, and even thousands, of brand new shoots as a result of its reaction. Your tranquil yard will be transformed into an impregnable fortress of unimaginable agony in an instant, thanks to these new shoots, which are strongly armed with spikes that are razor-sharp and deadly. After you have severed the head of one individual, 100 more are spliced in its place. A wild plant that utterly refuses to be tamed by human hands is represented by this terrible emblem. It is the ultimate symbol of a wild plant. You might think of it as a volcano that is inactive and resting. When you disturb it, it bursts with a vengeance, and your garden will never, ever be the same again. What we have explored today is a profound, humbling reminder of the sheer power of the natural world. These 20 plants are not just mindless weeds invading a lawn. They are ancient survivors, sophisticated chemical warfare experts, and in many remarkable cases, they are legitimate medicinal powerhouses that have been healing human beings for thousands of years. The ancient texts, the scriptures, and the historical apothecaries were not just writing down cultural folklore. They were documenting a deep, respectful, and highly accurate understanding of nature that modern science, with all its clinical trials and molecular research, is only just beginning to catch up with today. But with great power always comes great destruction. We brought these botanical titans into our backyards because they were beautiful, because they were useful, or because they offered genuine healing. But we completely underestimated their primal, unstoppable drive to conquer the earth. True wisdom is not just knowing how to grow a garden. True wisdom is knowing the profound difference between a sacred plant that belongs safely inside an apothecary jar and a destructive monster that will tear down the very walls of your home. Which of these destructive plants surprised you the most today? Have you ever had to battle one of these relentless monsters in your own yard? Are you Team Bamboo, Team Ivy, or Team Knotweed? I read every single comment that comes through, and I absolutely love hearing your personal stories, your struggles, and your insights. Please hit that subscribe button right now. Before we part ways today, there is something I need to say directly from the heart. Every plant we uncovered in this video carries a real scientific record behind it. Ancient medical texts, peer-reviewed studies, molecular research that took centuries to decode. But I want you to hold that knowledge carefully. Science is still writing its story, and what we know today may deepen or shift tomorrow. The traditional uses we discussed are windows into profound wisdom, not prescriptions you should follow without guidance. Many of these plants carry genuine toxic compounds that demand respect and expert knowledge before you ever attempt to harvest or prepare them. If you are currently on medication, navigating a chronic illness, or carrying a child, please bring these conversations to your doctor first. The most powerful thing you can do with this knowledge is use it wisely, and wisdom always knows when to ask for help. Stay safe, stay curious, and I will see you in the next video.